Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Hotsport. We are literally less than 15 minutes before the kickoff of Chelsea against Fulham at the Bridge. So we thought we might give you a little bit of, pre-match entertainment. Guys, this is your favorite segment on this program. It is Anton's Tears coming up right now. Last night, deep into the witching hours, a hand-picked committee of 5 convened. 4 brave men and 1 opinionated canine, huddled together, lit only by the glow of Fabrizio Romano's latest tweets. We toiled, we debated, we burned the midnight oil in pursuit of perfection. The mission? To bring you the definitive list, the greatest segment in all of football YouTube. Without further ado, it's time for Anton's Tears. Well, thank you. It is now time for Anton's Tears. Sorry for the late broadcast. We are literally right before the game, but you know what? Way to get you guys all ready for Chelsea against Fulham. And a list of Anton's Tears moving in to match week 3. Let's start. Bottom row, troubling start. That's right, Brighton, Burnley, West Ham, and Wolves all had really troubling starts to the season. I mean, Brighton started off, they had that draw in the first week, and then last week, losing. Like, what is going on with Brighton? I actually thought that they would be doing a lot better this season. But look, this is kind of the way it is at the moment, and their performances are gonna have to pick up a little bit. In terms of Burnley, look, this is exactly where they expect to be, being at the bottom. But yet, they did actually have a win last week. So, while they may have had a troubling start away at Spurs, they did bounce back to get the win against Sunderland last week. But still, that's another really promoted side. They were at home. So, look, that's the type of points they're supposed to pick up. But, they're still kind of in the bottom part of these tiers. And West Ham, real troubling start. I mean, first of all, getting ripped away from home at Sunderland and then coming home, you're taking an early lead, and Chelsea absolutely pants them on Friday night on national TV, like in front of the world. And they were absolutely dominated in that second half, especially. They were poor from set pieces. Chelsea looked absolutely remarkable, and West Ham looked woeful. And they're the worst team right now so far in the Premier League through 2 weeks. Wolverhampton Wanderers now. Again, a team that is struggling. I think they've been ripped apart, especially in the transfer window. Like losing Cunha, I think was a big part for their sort of demise. And look, 0 points, 0 goals. Not looking good for the Wolves. They're going to have to try their best to hold on to Strand Larson, because the attack for them is bad as it is. They did just go into the market, though, however, last night, if I believe, looking at the latest Fabrizio Romano tweet, they bought the striker from Genk, Tulu Arukadare. Now, I don't know if that's a replacement for Larson, if that's someone who's come on to try to help the attack. Either way, something got to work. They got to get Hwang Hee-chan involved in playing in the game. They lost Fabio Silva as well over the week, so they're in the bottom part of the tier. This is a team that's very seriously going to be a candidate to go down. Next, identity crisis. That's right. When I talk about identity crisis, I'm talking about looking one way in week 1 and then looking a second way in week 2. I'll give you a perfect example. It's Sunderland. Sunderland were rampant at home against West Ham in their first game, and then they go to play Burnley, the team that I reckon is the worst team in the league, and they lose. They lose convincingly, actually, and it's very shocking. Look, I guess it was a very emotional first week for Sunderland. What else can I say about it? they have to kind of show us now, what are they? Are they the version for the first weekend or the version for the second weekend? Let's go see. Leeds United again, played against Everton on a Monday night in the first week. I was really impressed for a newly promoted side. Another newly promoted side getting a win early on, coming with fire. And then Arsenal absolutely smashed them last week. Look, again, when you go up against the mighty Arsenal, it's not always, going to go your way, especially at the Emirates. It's a tough place to go and win. But, in the second half, first of all, from set pieces, Leeds looks terrible. And they made Victor Gyökeres look like he was back in the Portuguese league. That's how poorly they defended in the second half. And Max Dowman, the young Max Dowman, came in, 15 years old and absolutely embarrassed some experienced defenders for Leeds. So yeah, Leeds, they're identity crisis again. Who are they? Are they the team that beat Everton? Are they the team that were manhandled by Arsenal? We're gonna have to see. Brentford, a little bit of the other way. Brentford in the start were, they were handed to him by Nottingham Forest, but then they came back last week. They got themselves the W against, I believe it was against Villa, wasn't it? They did play Villa last week, and yeah. So again, which one are they? And then Villa, the other one, they got a draw against Newcastle in the first week at home. That's going toe-to-toe against a side that's in the top 10. That's, and holding your Elisa home. So going and losing to a team that I actually have in the relegation zone in the next week. So it's like, again, identity crisis. Choose. We're going to have to find out a lot more about these teams. But from now, I had to have them in the sort of the bottom half of the table. Moving on up, treading water. And this is what I was talking about treading water. I mean, is like, they could easily be, in amongst that middle of the pack, or they could easily fall low and be in one of the other lists. I would say the number one treading water team. Let's be honest, and we're not even talking about just Premier League games. It's Manchester United. Like, they are absolutely trying to keep afloat. This weekend against Burnley at Old Trafford has got to be a win, or that fan base is rioting. Let's be honest. I think this is a team that is a top 7 talented side in the Premier League, top 7, top 6. But the performances, the effort is just not there. I mean, Grimsby Town. Away, they not just lost to Grimsby Town, they got completely outplayed by Grimsby Town. They went 2-0 down, they got out-efforted, and they're out. They're out of the cup before anybody else is in the draw. Like, Amorim is under complete pressure. Like, they are treading water. They need a result this week that shows that they are in and around and they are a Big Six club. Otherwise, I may regard them as a bottom 10 side. So I'm being nice to them this week, but they need to go and deliver. Man United need a performance against Burnley, not just a win. Like, if they hold on to a win, it's just not a good look. They need a convincing win, and they need to be putting in the goals. And Benjamin Šeško needs to show why, he's been so highly touted as a striker, and that he can actually come in and bang in the Premier League. Otherwise, I'm starting to look at Benjamin Šeško and start thinking like he was exactly what I thought he was, which is not the type of striker that you want to buy if you have any real ambition towards winning in the here and now. And are Man United the type of club, especially if you're going to have ins and outs in the manager position, that can, harness and bring up a talent like that? I don't know. We'll get to see, but they're definitely treading water at the moment. The other team that's treading water is Crystal Palace. And look, I think they're going to improve now. Like, I think last week they had their week without Eze. Jeremy Pino is coming in, so yeah, let's kind of see how Crystal Palace is able to change with this new identity. Another thing is, like, does Gahey stay? Is this his last game this weekend, or is he going to be on his way to Liverpool? There are there's only 3 days or less now in the window. Wait, we're on Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Yeah, less than 3 days to go in the transfer window. Like, are they going to be able to hold on to Mark Gahey? Are they going to be able to, bring any enforcements on defense? Like, I felt this is a team that was challenging for major honors in terms of winning FA Cups and Carabao Cups. Community Shield, beating Liverpool and City, and they had a good core of players that just kind of really worked, and now they're kind of moving on to pastures new. So they're going to have to try to see if they can tread water here in the Premier League now. Everton. Now, I have Everton in the treading water category, but I just think, I was impressed by where they played last week. I thought they were really, really good. And there's just kind of statistically, I kind of put them up there into this kind of middle section, just borderline top 10 sort of area. And Fulham, again, they've impressed me in 2 draws essentially in the league, but I think they've showed heart, they've showed spirit, and they've showed a lot more than some of the teams below them, that's for sure. Moving on up, who wants it? Who wants it? Who wants to be the team that pushes the big boys this year? Bournemouth pushed the big boys. Now, let me tell you that much. The way they came back against Liverpool at Anfield, that's the performance of a team that is not afraid and that is really willing to shake things up. I've been impressed with Bournemouth over the first 2 weeks. They got the win last week, 1-0, after which kind of backs up that performance away to Anfield. So can they push on? That's the question. Nottingham Forest again. They after the big win, they had a draw last weekend. But I think talent-wise, I think they have a good team. I think they've actually done a really good job this summer acquiring some more talent to keep that level up, that sort of pushing for European places up to kind of compete in the Conference League. They brought some good players from Brazil. I think they brought a goalie overnight again for John Victor. So yeah, I think Nottingham Forest, their job is to kind of consolidate on a really impressive year last year. And I think so far, 4 points from 6 is not a bad start. And Newcastle, look, the Newcastle won it. Again, just like Bournemouth, a really, really gutsy performance with 10 men last week against Liverpool. I think they were very incredibly unlucky. All the injury time that was added on. Young Rio came on, popped up with a goal, but despite, they showed a lot of heart, they showed a lot of spirit. I had them on upset alert last week to try to beat Liverpool, and I was close. To take points off Liverpool. And, I was seconds away from getting that one right. It's just they need clarity on what's happening with Alexander Isak. The best thing that can happen for them in the next winter. By the way, they brought in Walter Made from Stuttgart, who I think is going to make I think he's up and comer. I don't know if he can hit the ground running right away. They literally just announced that signing within the last couple hours. And that's now official. So they finally got a striker through the door. Let's see if that can affect their play and they can be a bit more incisive in attack. But the opportunity is still there for Newcastle, despite 2 draws to open the season. It was against Liverpool and Villa, and those are it's not bad points in the end, really. Away at Villa and at home against Liverpool for Newcastle. Moving on up, this is the contenders or pretenders, and it's twofold. So for Chelsea, they looked remarkable last week against West Ham, but what are we going to say? Or West Ham just that bad? The weekend before that, they struggled against Crystal Palace. So, are they contenders or pretenders? They've actually sold this week. They've lost Nkunku, they lost Jackson, players that they're trying to get rid of. They brought in Garnacho, but they also missed out on Xavi Simons. So, my question to them is, are Chelsea a team that is truly serious about challenging for the title, or are they a team that is still building, that they're happy to be a top 4 side and put in a good shout in Europe? That's just kind of my question on Chelsea. Contenders or pretenders is a question. You can answer that in the comment section below, or in the stream if you want to check into the live chat. Manchester City, I had them as contenders for sure, right? Top 3. In fact, on the terrace, I had them to win the league. Again, I've retracted that. I said they still, by the way, on paper, they have the best, the strongest, one of the strongest squads for sure. But the way they just were out-muscled last week by Tottenham, it was very shocking. I know that I said, I had them on upset alert as well. Tottenham are a bogey side for them. But just the way, the lack of physicality, by the way, the poor keeping. Now, there's Donnarumma coming in over the next few days. To Chelsea, City, there's so many questions to go with about 60 hours or so left to go in the window. So we're gonna see, but they're gonna need to have a bounce back performance this weekend. Who, in fact, is it? What tournament do they play? I'm pretty sure I was looking. Matches that they play this weekend. They play against WA away. So I mean, sorry, not WA. Brighton away. So Brighton again, lower part of the tier, but again, they're a hard team to go against away from home. They're just going to need to have a Man City performance to show that they are still there or thereabouts. Because there are questions if they're falling. I question if they're going to be even a top 4 side, given the way they performed last week. So we'll see. Contenders or pretenders, we'll find out. Only time will tell. And again, this week might be a marker. That kind of third week when you show one thing one week and another thing another week. It's the week that you kind of sort of like, you're like, all right, we're 3 weeks in now. We're better fitness. Let's show everybody what we got. Pretenders or contenders as well. Tottenham. So Tottenham Hotspur has started off the season very well. Like I said last week on this exact show on the tiers, you beat Burnley at home, the worst team in the league, but you beat them at home. You can beat them convincingly. What can you look like going away at the Etihad, one of the toughest places to play against one of the best teams that has dominated the league against Pep Guardiola? And they answered the bell. Thomas Frank's style has really showed the test of time. I think this is different than when they had Andy Postecoglou when they started off really well. They showed a solidity, and now they've added Xavi Simons. So after missing out on Eze, Xavi Simons now comes in. I think he's going to just add a lot more creativity. They're going to create a lot more chances with him. The question is that if Xavi Simons can hit the ground running, given this is the first time playing in this league, given the physicality, given his sort of build, but I think he's a very, very talented player who is a needle mover for Tottenham Hotspur. Let's be honest here. So I think Spurs, about being 17th last year, no one really expected them to be in and around it. I think they've kind of thought like 6th or 7th. But they've been really, really impressive to start with. And that Manchester City one, make no mistake about it, is definitely a good one to have under their belt. Let's be honest. They have to go back to City again for the rest of the season. All right, top of the tiers, Super Sunday. That's right. This is going to be as simple as I possibly can say it. By the way, Arsenal have gotten even stronger. Again, another signing, Pierre Hincapié is in the building for Arsenal, and they dominant win against Leeds. And now they play against Liverpool. The best sides on paper in the league are going to go head to head now in the third week. And if one of them win, that team will be top of the tier. So top of the tiers is up for grab this weekend. And for Liverpool, again, the defense is kind of a bit shaky, but the attack is light scary. Like, honestly, scary. Ekitike 2 from 2 in scoring again. I think Gakpo as well, 2 from 2. When was on the score sheet last week? I'm pretty sure. Salah scored. Oh, no, not Salah. Wait. No, Gravenberch. Sorry. Ekitike 2 from 2. Yes. Yeah, and young Rio coming off the bench to give them that winner. But yeah, let's see. Their defense is going to be tested against Arsenal, regardless of Saka being out. I just think that Eze is going to bring a spark. Victor Gyökeres came off the mark. He's looking comfortable now. So this is going to be the big match of the weekend. And it's going to set the tone for who could really be the favorite this early on in the season. I know everybody wants to say, like, you can't be out of the title race, but you sure can lay down the marker. And this is the hardest away fixture for Arsenal at the end of the day this season, and it comes in this third match week. So Arsenal against Liverpool, and let's just see, by the way, Alexander Isak, Mark Gahey. I'm starting to become a believer that these deals can get pulled off. I mean, I don't think I ever denied Gahey. I'm starting to become a believer, given that Walter Mod's in the building for Newcastle, that Isak might actually end up at Liverpool after all. The stars are starting to align. So let's see how the tiers going into the national break looks. Like, Arsenal could win maybe, and then if it's Liverpool, add Isak and Gahey, and you go like, do I share the tiers again, or does the winners go to the spoils? I reckon still at the end of the day, the winner goes to the spoils. And if it's Liverpool will be top. If it's Arsenal, they'll be top. And if it's a draw, then maybe you might put in that Isak signing if it does materialize into play. We'll have to see. But anyway, that has been Anton's tiers. Guys, let me know in the comment section below what you guys think about the tiers. Who should be higher? Who should be lower? Do you agree with me? Do you agree with my tiers? Who wins on Sunday, Arsenal or Liverpool? That is the other good question. By the way, we will be back. Our Chelsea and Fulham have now kicked off, so enjoy that one. Enjoy that game. But we will be back shortly for another live with another segment, with the Under Pressure segment coming up in a moment's time. So, guys, stay tuned. Stick to Hotsport, because in a few minutes we're firing up Under Pressure as well. We'll be going live again in about 5 to 10 minutes from now. So we'll be back. Until then, guys, Anton out.